Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to bring to you the week that was in pro wrestling. And this week, it's not just WWE Raw, it's not just NWA Power, it is the grand return to the channel of AEW Dynamite. I'm sorry, it's been a while. I've been watching Agatha all along with some friends. And, that cut into the time. But, now we're back. And better than ever. Sorry, Bischoff. So, we're going to start off with a little Monday Night Raw. Start off with a Crown Jewel recap, because, of course. Then we go into a Judgment Day promo. Now, representing them in this promo is Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Dominic Mysterio. And they're still in Riyadh, so I guess this is a taping. So, interesting. So, Liv starts out. Liv Morgan Revenge Tour is all done. Gonna be moving on to the Liv Morgan World Tour. I made sure Rhea is gonna be out for a while this time. Judgment Day attacked her on NXT, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like there's some major damage. Beat Nia Jax to become the Crown Jewel champion. Doesn't have the title with her, in which, if they're still in Saudi Arabia, shouldn't they? I mean, I do kind of get it. It's this big bulky thing. Maybe not easy to hold, but although I do respect they got the rings. So, hopefully that comes into storyline stuff down the line. Liv continues, I've done everything I've set out to do, and I'm going to become the greatest women's champion of all time. And after I win at Survivors, after I beat my next opponent, then out comes Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, the women's tag team champions. With Bianca taking lead, saying, you guys aren't the only ones who were locked out of Crown Jewel with gold. And you think we forgot our confrontation from a few weeks ago? If you really want the tag titles, come and get it. Liv Morgan replies, do you realize we were in the middle of a celebration? Do you think you're better than us? Then you got a problem with that. And your partner thinks the same. The only thing keeping you two guys together are those titles. And you want to put that theory to the test? Jade replies, do you want to put that theory to the test? Let's go. So they're about to go at it. Then out comes General Manager Adam Pearce, along with a handful of security guys. He's saying, everyone back up, let's back down, let's calm down. You guys are going to get your revenge shortly, but we're going to have this number one contenders battle royal. Then Bianca turns to Liv, just smacks her right in the face. Looks like they're about to go at it. Security breaks them up. Adam Pearce then continues, before this delves into more chaos, we've got the number one contenders battle royal. And even bigger news, it starts right now. So, we got the Women's Battle Royal, and it's to determine the number one contender to Liv's World Heavyweight title. There's no set date yet, but I'd assume it's either going to be Survivor Series or maybe Saturday night's main event. Because there's some events coming up. So, some participants, because I didn't get absolutely everybody, because there was like the entire women's roster out there. It's Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, Natalya, Ivy Nile, Lyra Valkyria, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, I think, Zoe Sky's out there, Alba Fire Isla Dawn, Maxine Dupree, And among others, I did not get a chance to look at because, honestly, everyone in Saudi Arabia with those skin-tight clothes look pretty much the same. Action starts off really, really quickly. Eliminations almost happen right off, including with Isla Dawn, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, Maxine with a caterpillar, which that was entertaining. She immediately gets eliminated. Zelina Vega eliminates Ivy Nile with a 619. And then, yeah, pretty much everyone gets eliminated. It's down to Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Lyra Valkyria, and Bianca Belair. Not Bianca Belair. Actually, I think it's just Damage Control and Lyra. Lyra ends up eliminating Kairi Sane by herself. Then Io Sky with a big old suplex off the apron to pick up the victory. So, we are definitely getting Io Sky versus Liv Morgan in the near future, which, that could be entertaining. Next up, we got an little interview with The New Day. They're kind of right in front of the WWE Experience, which is, I guess, the locker room now. I guess that's Gorilla for this show. With both of them kind of arguing, saying, you know, we should have won the tag titles. Kofi, this was all your fault. You're the one who set the pin. Then Wyatt Six logo shows up and then starts a little video showing someone tied up in an Uncle Howdy mask. Then we kind of hear Bo Dallas saying, I didn't really catch what he said because it was kind of a little whispery. Then Howdy mask comes off. It's The Miz. He's got tape over his mouth. Then Bo Dallas kind of rips it off. In which I hate that. In movies and TV, I hate that. That's one of my yucks. So Miz is kind of begging with Bo Dallas, saying, look, you got the wrong guy. You clearly want the Final Testament. I'm not associated with those guys. Then Bo Dallas kind of puts his head right near the Miz's. He's saying, no, you were always the target. And because you lied to me all those years ago, referencing the B Team, aka the Miztourage, where it was the Miz, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel. And then puts the tape back on, saying, I'm here for my retribution. Camera backs up. From out of the darkness behind the Miz, you see Dexter Lumis in his Mercy mask. Grabs Miz's head. Now, we don't see him. We don't see the action of Lumis, you know, offing the Miz. But, yeah, that was intense. That was like horror movie level stuff. Bray Wyatt would be proud. That was a really good segment. I have no idea what's going on with this feud, but if it means we get the Wyatts in the Final Testament, that could be a lot of fun. We then get footage from, I want to say it was College Football Live or whatever, you know, pre-show that happens on Saturday before the football games, where we hear Bill Goldberg in 2025 is going to have his retirement match. So, in WWE. So, you know, good for him. I never really wanted to see another Bill Goldberg match in my lifetime. I've seen plenty. I hope if the plan is Gunther, Gunther beats him in 2 seconds. So next up, we got the rematch from the number 1 contenders tournament final up, as it's the New Day, who are definitely not on the same page, taking on Hanson and Rowe, Eric and Ivar of the War Raiders, who have been on a roll since they've gotten back. And this match, I'm going to say this, it wasn't really as good as their last outing, but I still had fun. Like, this was a really, really good back and forth. A lot of good, big guy versus little guy action, which is always fun. Here's where things got a little interesting. Kofi Kingston's in. He hits the boom drop. He's ready for the Trouble in Paradise. Xavier Woods tags himself in. They argue for a minute, which gives Ivar ample time to get up, hit an elbow strike. Woods tries to go for a DDT, but that gets blocked into a spine buster. Tags in his Raymond Rowe. That's not his name. Eric, where they hit the War Machine, which is like a suplex clothesline combination, to pick up the win for their team. So, we are definitely getting a breakup of the New Day, unless someone interesting comes back. Maybe not full-time, but at least, to keep this team together. Big E. I miss Big E, man. We then get the official announcement of the Road to WrestleMania Europe 2025 tour, in which we're going to see WWE go to, Brussels and London for Raw and SmackDown, which is honestly really cool. I am glad more international towns are getting to see WWE live. That's awesome. Then we get a Sami Zayn promo. He does part of it in the language of the area, which I have no idea what it is, but it gets a big prop from the crowd. He then says, I didn't come here just to hear you guys pop. I came here to address what happened on Crown Jewel with the Usos. So I'm going to ask out. Almost immediately, Jey Uso comes out. But he comes out the normal way. He doesn't come in from the crowd, which is very interesting. So Jey gets on the microphone. He says, before you speak, I want to thank you for having our back at Crown Jewel. But be 100% with me. Was your Helluva Kick to Roman Reigns an accident? Before Sami Zayn can answer, out comes Jimmy Uso. He gets on a microphone, pretty much says to Jey, look, we can only rely on our family. What's so wrong with you? We saw the same thing. We saw Sami kick Roman on purpose. We can't trust him, Moose. And then Sami replies, I'm the one who can't be trusted? Before this, you brought me back into this first. When things went bad, you kicked me in the face like you always do. Sami then continues, you think I owe you an explanation? I'm not the bad guy here. Don't you get it? I don't hate you guys. I never had. It's clear you're not the bad guys. You just make bad decisions. And when Jey came over, I was here for him. We patched things up, and it felt like old times. For 1 minute, it felt good. But then it felt flat like it always did. I'm not doing this again. I love you. I'm sorry, I can't do this again. I'm out. Sami Zayn then drops the microphone. He's heading up the ramp. Then Jay says, Sami, I'm asking you, come to SmackDown this week so we can all talk this out like families do. Jimmy then gets on the mic. He says, he's not family. Then Jay replies, just because he isn't blood related doesn't mean he isn't family. He's family to me, and I see us standing here, and I see Jimmy Uso, I see Jay Uso, and I see Sammy Uso. That gets a big old Sammy Uso pop, which did the heart good. Jay then finalizes saying, hope to see you on Friday, Us. Oh my god. This drama is... Initially, I was kind of out on all this Bloodline versus Bloodline stuff. This is getting good. Like, I'm glad they're not rushing Sami Zayn into this, but they're going to need a fourth for War Games. And while they did just sign, Haku's other kid, and I think they just signed Lance Anoa'i, who, honestly, I could see debuting at Survivor Series for the New Blood. But I think Sami Zayn is the perfect fourth man. And you know what? I'm going to say this. Don't have him rejoin right away. Don't rush that. Have it take time. Have Jay, Jimmy, and Sammy talk for a couple of segments. Have Roman come in a little bit more and have them talk. Like they used to. Backstage, on the couch. And then, hey, you know who would be a great return for the Bloodline? One man missing. The wise man. Paul Heyman. I think he's the one who's going to bring this all back together. And hopefully finish this at Survivor Series. We then go to outside the arena, which is very, very weird, for a Seth Rollins interview, where the interviewer asked about his competition with Bronson Reed at Crown Jewel. We're saying it was a fine performance by me. I don't need to tell you my resume or who I am. I'm going to tell you who Bronson Reed is. He is as advertised. I respected that fight. And it's obvious we're going to do this dance again. But I've got gold on my mic. And we're going to fight it out for a shot at Gunther. And you guys know exactly who I am. So, nice, easy promo by Seth Rollins. We then go into a very interesting little matchup, as it's Dragon Lee taking on Chad Gable one-on-one. Well, kind of one-on-one. I'll get to it. This match was absolutely awesome. This was a great little match, really good back and forth. But eventually we did see the outside managers get involved. That's Ivy Nile and Zelina Vega. They brawl for a little bit. Out comes Rey Mysterio, who checks on Vega. Ref is distracted enough where Chad Gable goes after Dragon Lee's mask. Rey Mysterio's mask. Rey gets him off him. Dragon Lee with Operation Dragon to pick up the win. If you watch one match from WWE this week, I'm going to recommend this match. This match is awesome. And hopefully, maybe we get some more matches from these two. Next up, we've got Imperium interview, where it's mostly Gunther taking the lead. But he pretty much says, what are we doing here? Asking about an undeserving champ? Whoa. Actually, that was Ludwig Kaiser who started that. Then Gunther stops him, and he says, on that night, Cody was the better man. Tonight, we got 3 capable performers and Dom fighting to see who faces me next. Then he turns to Kaiser and says, it's clear you needed to take care of Priest. And I'm still the champ, so it's on me to be better. Are they about to break up Imperium and turn Gunther babyface? Because I'm going to tell you, that's maybe not a bad idea. Not saying I'm all for it, but maybe change up the dynamic a little bit on Raw. So maybe one day we can see Gunther versus Bronson Reed, because that match would absolutely rule. And then that brings us to our main event of Raw, as it's a fatal 4-way for the #1 contendership for the World Heavyweight title. Our competitors, Damian Priest, Seth freaking Rollins, Sheamus, the Celtic Warrior, and Dominic Mysterio. And initially, everyone teams up to beat up Dominic for a little bit. Seth Rollins tries to get a quick roll-up win, but that gets taken out. This match was chaotic, but it was like controlled chaos. It really worked for me. But here's where things got interesting. After a pedigree by Seth Rollins, out comes Bronson Reed, who doesn't just attack Seth Rollins. He attacks everybody, including hitting a bunch of tsunamis, including one on, I want to say it was either Sheamus or Seth, through the announce table. Reed then leaves. Dominic takes advantage, hits a frog splash, only gets a 2. Hits a 619, goes for another frog splash. That gets caught by Priest, who hits an immediate South of Heaven to pick up the win and become the new #1 contender. While this is a bit of a safe match, I think this was the right choice. I know everyone's clamoring for Dom, but I think Priest is going to be the better match, and it's going to be the more interesting little matchup. Then just as Raw's going off the air, Gunther comes out. They're both on the stage. They have themselves a little stare down. Oh, that match is going to be so good. I can't wait for it. So, that was WWE Raw. Definitely an interesting dynamic for the show. It definitely feels like they're hitting their groove with this new 2-hour format. Hopefully that continues. But now we move on to NWA Power, in which we start off with a vignette for the Liberty Bell Brawl 2. I'll explain that one a little later. However, we start out with Brian Idol taking on Carson Drake. And this match, I don't know, this match was a little bit annoying. Although I guess that's the point with Carson Drake. He's an annoying little turd that you want to see lose. So, nice little back and forth at first. Everything looks like it's going well. But then you see Drake at some point unraveling his wrist tape. Looks like he's going to use it as some sort of weapon. Maybe to choke out his opponent. Ref stops him. Throws the tape to the outside. At that point, Drake puts on a pair of brass knuckles. Clocks Idol right in the head to pick up the win. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be, this feud is definitely going to be continuing throughout, whenever it's going to be. it's definitely going to be an interesting little undercard feud. Next, we go backstage for an EC3 promo. Start off asking, "Who am I? I'm the most dangerous man in the world. Our creative. And I'm going to say this to you, Latimer. I could have beaten you at any point in our matchup. I didn't intend to lose, but I needed to lose. And now I need to make an example, be bigger than the sport, and I pushed you to this. There was no one else. I brought you here, and I need a polarity shift. You are a fraud, Tom Latimer. I am the leader of the people, and at a point where something drastic needs to take place, and we're at a point where overmen are going to become overlords." So we're going to get a rematch from Latimer EC3. That should be a interesting one. We now move to an interesting little tag team match as Pretty Empowered, that's the Page sisters, Kylie and Kenzie, taking on Tiffany Nieves, but not Reka Tahaka, Hollywood Haley J from OVW, although I think she was a free agent last I saw. And this match, honestly, this match was a lot of fun to watch, including a big old boot from Haley J, which I think should be her finisher. Lots of really good back and forth. At first I thought Kylie Page started, but it was Kenzie. So Kenzie got a little overwhelmed. Finally tagged in Kylie, but she was pretty much overwhelmed as well. She did hit a running knee strike, but only got on 2. And then Tiffany with the roll-up and the win for her team. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see where Nieves and Haley J end up, because I think either one could be number 1 contender. So yeah. Next up, we get a ringside interview with the Southern Six, with Alex Taylor taking the lead, saying, "Know what you're thinking. What it's like being the Southern Six. Thankfully, you never know. Jack Cartwheel, you come in to do your stuff. It's not going to be enough to take the junior heavyweight title. You don't measure up. And what I did at 76, I put Carino out of the heavyweight division. And now, this is Thrillbilly Silas. And now, Latimer, I'm coming for you next." And then the interviewer said something interesting, and I actually have it written down. He says, "You only got here because of nepotism." Then Thrillbilly grabs him by the throat, kind of like the one meme everyone uses of the big woman and the little woman. With him saying, "You need to put some bass in your voice when you're talking to me. I am the biggest man who ever lived, but today I'm not going to knock your ass out." And we're going to handle our business. Then Alex Taylor, with the junior heavyweight title, knocks the interviewer down. They start a little beat down. In comes Kobe Carino to make the save. But Southern Six have way too many numbers. And then they take off their, not their title belts, but their belt belts, and start whipping both of them with it. And so that sets up a tag match for next week, where we see the interviewer tag with Kobe Carino. And apparently the interviewer is a former wrestler, so we'll see if he still has it. Next up, we got this interesting little matchup as Boz, who is definitely a big fella, takes on Slade of the... God, what's the name of that squad? I don't remember. So start off pretty basic with a lockup, couple of takeovers. Then it eventually got taken to the next level as Boz tried for a Death Valley driver. That gets blocked into an ankle lock. Boz then grabs the ropes. Slade goes for a Samoan drop, but that gets countered into a side slam. Into a Slade slam, where your winner is Mr. Slade. So, definitely got some big things coming up for him. That should be a fun one. We then go back to ringside for a Tom Latimer interview. This time with Danny Diaz, which is very interesting. And Latimer pretty much says, guys, we did it. This title is ours. But EC3, I accept your challenge. Bring whatever army you got. Bring your overmen. Bring your wife. But I'm going to expose you as the fraud that you are. Truth is, I'm the best, and you know it. And once that match is done, you're going to hear, and still, World Heavyweight Champion, Tom Latimer. I honestly get chills when Tom Latimer speaks. He is so good with his words. We then see we have the newest member of the NWA territory system, and it's World League Wrestling, and they show the announcement of that at the previous event. So, that's pretty cool. We then get an NWA television title match as Max the Impaler is challenged by newcomer Mr. Grimm. And honestly, this was a power-off of epic proportions. It did look like Mr. Grimm had Max's number at some point, including a sling blade for the 2 count. Misses on an elbow. Max hits a spear. Couple of elbows, couple of strikes. Then Max locks in a sleeper hold, which is very, very interesting. Grimm then starts to fade. Referee comes over, checks on him, does the arm thing. Mr. Grimm's arm falls. So your winner by submission is Max the Impaler. Post-match, Max is still holding the sleeper in. Ref is trying to get them off of him. And then James Mitchell is out there, so he's screaming orders at Max. They then let go. Turn to James Mitchell. And turn back and kind of celebrate in front of the camera. So it does look like we're going to see Max leaving the Miserably Faithful. Maybe, but who knows? We'll see. And then we get to our main event, which is a rematch from NWA 76. And it's a Liberty Bell match, in which it's a ladder match. Set up the ladder, climb it, then you gotta ring a ring bell, Liberty Bell replica 3 times in a row. Now, the reason why NWA are doing this match again is because at NWA 76, Kratos broke the bell and kind of only rung it 1 time before the... I don't know the technical term for it, but the thing you hit against the actual bell part to ring it, that got broken, so technically that doesn't count. So, we go into it like this. BFT jump, as it's BFT taking on the Immortals. BFT take a page out of the Immortals playbook, jump them before the bell, and then it's pretty much all hoss fight. Like, this was such a big meaty men slapping meat match. And each time each man tries to go up the ladder, they get hit. Then all of a sudden, Aaron Stevens comes in. It's a super kick on Kratos. He goes up and tries to ring the bell. Kratos stops him. Stevens with an eye rake. It looks like he's about to go for the loaded fist. Then a pounce from Odinson to Eric Stevens. Odinson then goes up, rings the bell 3 times. So your winners, the Immortals. I'd say I definitely liked the original NW76 version of this match. But I'm glad we finally have some closure on this. Maybe we can have the Immortals go after the tag titles. Although, during the credits, we see Daisy Kill and Talos' music video, I guess, challenging the Immortals to a match. Which, honestly, it was kind of funny, and seeing Talos let loose a little personality, that was fun. So, yeah, hopefully we can see. It looks like we're getting a future United States tag title match, in which Immortals never lost those. They relinquished them to get a world title shot. So, yeah, that was NWA Power. A bit more of a mixed bag than I would have liked, but it was a very entertaining show. And now we start off with our return to AEW Dynamite, and I picked the absolute right time to come back because we see who starts off the show, but it's the Hurt Syndicate. Now, if you don't know who these guys are, it's MVP, Montel Vontavious Porter, Shelton Benjamin, and the man who just debuted last week, Bobby Lashley. So, probably know Cedric Alexander because he's still with the WWE. But it's good to see these guys together as a collective. It starts off kind of as an interview, but then MVP says, "Tony, I appreciate the introduction. I really don't need one, so you can go." MVP takes the microphone. Tony Schiavone leaves the ring. So MVP starts off the promo saying, "Attention AEW viewers, my name is MVP. I am joined here by Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. And as the Hurt Syndicate, our goal is to help the younger guys get to the next level. And if we offer you a business card, that's your golden ticket to success. Reject it, and well, you'll end up like Swerve, in which they show Bobby Lashley's debut and the Hurt Syndicate beating up Swerve. Before MVP can get another word out, Swerve's music hits. He comes out. He's being held back by security. Gets on the microphone. He says, "Bobby Lashley, full gear." You see MVP kind of smirk a little bit. Says, "See you there, kid." Nice easy challenge for what is probably going to be an awesome little matchup. So, yeah, nice easy promo to start off to introduce some new characters to the show. Then we got a Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy hype video. That full gear match is going to be awesome. I can't wait. Speaking of Orange Cassidy, we now have a little tag team match playa, as it's the Death Riders, which is Jon Moxley's group's new name. It's Pac and Claudio Castagnoli taking on Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. Now, Orange Cassidy then makes his entrance. He then turns to the ring. dares the Death Riders to come up. Pac and Claudio walk up the ramp. It looks like they're about to jump Orange Cassidy. Then we see from above the tunnel, you see Darby Allin. He hits a dive from on top, and they start a huge brawl around the ringside area. Eventually, they do get in the ring as Pac and Cassidy started off, and they picked up where they left off in their feud. Like these two in a feud is like AEW royalty. These two obviously know each other really, really well. And the crowd was really into it, especially on the Darby and Cassidy hot tags. But here's where it gets a little disappointing. So basically, after a big old top rope DDT from Cassidy, Yuta comes in, tries to attack Cassidy. He gets hit by an orange punch, Claudio with an uppercut. Then Marina Shafir comes in and takes out the referee. And then Mox comes in, gets Orange Cassidy in the sleeper hold. Darby Allin gets up with his skateboard and just takes out the Blackpool, the Death Riders. But eventually the numbers catch up to him. Yuta with a Busaiku knee, which that was interesting to see. Then out comes a little backup and the rest of the conglomeration, which bit too little, bit too late. But, glad to see they have their backs. We then go backstage for an interview with Ricochet, which is very, very interesting. And he tells the interviewer, I have a huge responsibility today. I can pick anyone in AEW, but I'm going to keep it a secret for now, and you all are going to have to find out later. Then the Hurt Syndicate rock again. Rene Dupree gets out of there. Ricochet turns to MVP. He says, it's good to see you again. MVP says, we want to wish you good luck in later tonight. Then Ricochet says, what? I'm glad you're going to watch me work. Ricochet and the Hurt Syndicate. Something about that feels right. Like, if you're not going to have Cedric, why not make Ricochet in there? I don't know. I like that idea. So, next up, we got a Fight Without Honor, a.k.a. a plunder match, as it's the conglomeration. So that's Kyle O'Reilly, Tomohiro Ishii, and Mark Briscoe taking on the Learning Tree. So that's Brian Keith, Big Bill, and Chris Jericho, who has the Ring of Honor World title. And yeah, this is pretty much basic plunder match, which included ladders, including a chair duel between Mark and Chris Jericho, with eventually Big Bill and Kyle O'Reilly brawling to the back, in which Big Bill goes for the choke slam through a couple of tables, but that gets countered into a guillotine choke, in which Big Bill and Kyle fall through the tables. Back in the ring, Mark Briscoe hits a J-Driller on Jericho. Doesn't go for the pin. Instead, he gets a ladder, sets up a table, puts Jericho on the table, goes up the ladder, hits a big old froggy bow from the top of the ladder, through a table, only for a 2 count. That gets broken up by Brian Keith. Mark Briscoe then takes out Brian Keith for him. Ishii then gets in, hits a big old running clothesline to Jericho, goes for a brainbuster, initially counters it, but eventually Ishii hits the brainbuster for the win for the conglomeration. So, I hope this is the end of the story from Mark Briscoe and Jericho, at least on AEW TV. You want to have this on Ring of Honor TV, fine. But I do not need to see this ever again. So backstage, we see the Death Riders. They're taking a walk. Looks like they're leaving the arena at first. Then Moxley, Yuta, and Marina Shafir stop for the camera, with Moxley saying, "Yuta doesn't owe you anything, Cassidy. He's done being a nice guy. Being a nice guy doesn't buy you loyalty. Yuta doesn't belong to you. He's a soldier. And it's time to kill / build back. And it's time to stop playing and get serious." So, Jon Moxley with another kind of anti-rah-rah speech. I don't even know what to call that. It's a little weird, but, we'll see where this goes. Hopefully not Shane McMahon. Next up, we got our second match for Adam Cole in the series, in which if he wins, he gets a shot at MJF at Full Gear. His opponent, Malachi Black. And the history between these two guys, it's pretty awesome. They eventually, they do start it a little bit slow. Cole goes for a super kick. Malachi catches it. Then he puts his leg down, thinking, no, that's too easy. So they then start to pick up with a couple arm drags. Got caught into the barricade. Adam Cole goes for a heat seeker, but that gets blocked. Eventually, Cole does hit the super kick, but only for a 2 count. Cole goes for a Panama Sunrise, but that gets blocked into a super kick and then a knee, but only for a 2. Cole goes for a super kick again. That gets caught into a leg sweep. Cole and Malachi trading stuff on top. Eventually with Adam Cole hitting the Panama Sunrise into a super kick. Actually, Malachi then hits a surprise the end, only for a 2 count. Goes for it again, but this time the leg lift version. That gets countered into a big knee, Panama Sunrise, super kick, and then Adam Cole hit the boom to pick up the win. And then we see backstage Kyle O'Reilly watching on a big TV. At post-match, Adam Cole extends his hand. Malachi doesn't even go for it. They both just give each other a big embrace. Then we get a little story time with Adam Cole, baby. Then he says, first to Malachi, you've been the very best opponent I've ever fought. But there's someone else I want to talk to. Max. That's 2 down, only 1 to go. And I'm going to win. You think you've put roadblocks in my way. But what happens at Full Gear if me and Roderick Strong both win? Well, I went to Tony Khan about this, and we figured it out. When Cole and Strong get 3 wins, it's going to be a triple threat at Full Gear. And Max, at Full Gear, you're going to get the ass kicking of a lifetime. So then we cut to MJF's house. It's probably going to be somewhere backstage. We see MJF get up from the TV. He's seething. So then he picks up his phone. He dials somebody. Then he says, I'm going to need you to pay someone a visit. So, yeah, we'll see who that is a little bit later. So then we go to a Jay White interview. And before he can really say anything, he pretty much says, Hangman, you might try to hurt me, but I'm going to bring it back in full. And before he can say anything else, Hangman jumps Jay, and they brawl into the arena. And they just start beating the heck out of each other, including Jay White getting his ankle stuck in the barricade. Hangman gets a chair. It looks like he's going to shatter Jay White's ankle. But Juice Robinson grabs the chair, runs away with it. Jay White fights back. They make it into the ring. But Hangman rolls out of the ring and bails through the crowd. We then get a fired up Jay White promo in the ring. He says, don't run away. What I'm going to do to you at Full Gear, I'm going to beat you and I'm going to embarrass you. Hangman, you'll say you leave me behind, but you never will. That leg will be your downfall, and I'm going to make you tap. Guns up. I love how they're making Jay White feel. They're finally making him feel like a big deal. I do hope he gets the win at Full Gear. Although it is named after Hangman Adam Page, so we shall see about that. We then go to a backstage interview with Chris Statlander, where she says, Monet can't change the fact that it will be new champ at Full Gear. Then, from outside, we see a car hit Chris Statlander. Camera pans to the front of the car. It's Mercedes Moné and Camille. And Camille's like, oh, I can't believe you hit her. You gotta go out and check on her. So Camille and Moné come out. They brawl for a little bit, including Statlander throwing Camille's head into the not the windshield, but the window on the passenger side. Security then comes in. They break it all up. That match at Full Gear is going to be awesome. So next up, we got a Christian Cage and Hook face to face. We start off with a Christian Cage promo. He says, I see you're wondering about our extra security. Let me explain myself. This is obviously for everyone's safety. I would also like to welcome Kip Sabian to the patriarchy. Another fatherless loser looking for guidance. And Kip had the foresight to see what was coming. So he showed footage of him chasing Kip Sabian, who stole his pen when he was about to sign the contract for the #1 contendership. He then runs into Pac and Claudio, but then he goes the other way. So then we go back to live. It was clear that the Blackpool Combat Club were looking to take my contract, but here I am, still your next uncrowned heavyweight champion. And Kip Sabian did more for me than my other sons ever have. So Cage and Kip embrace. This brings out Hook, who stays at the top of the ramp and says, whatever it is you'll have to say, make it fast. Cage then is like, whoa. I'll tell you straight. Hook, you're a wild card. An ass kicker. And that attack on your dad wasn't just an attack. I needed a son like you. I want you to be my son. But if you didn't have Taz in your ear, I was the one who took your father out, and he saw my face. So why didn't he tell you it was me? Because he knows I can take you to the next level. Did Taz ever make it to the next level? No, he was a big fish in a small pond in a mud show wrestling promotion. He didn't make it in the big time, so he became an announcer. Do you want to become like your dad and hide behind the desk? Or like me, a clear, multi-time world champion? And it's also clear no one cares about Taz. And I'm going to say it, I wish your father was dead. So that sets Hook off. He fights through the security guards. But then the patriarchy join in. Numbers too much. Patriarchy then bail. Then Hook, with a couple of suplexes to a couple of security guards, gets a red room on another. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. We then see highlights of matches from the Don Callis family's newest monsters, Brian Cage and Lance Archer. We then get a Don Callis interview where he says, it's no more 50-50. We're going to take it to... And before he can continue, some dude walks up. He has a phone in his hand. He has a note in his hand and a ring box. He gives them to Callis. Then he says, I got a message for you. He then plays the message. It's MJF, who says to Callis, I got some business for you. I lent you my Dynamite Diamond ring so you can pay someone a little visit. Don't damage my ring or I'll have you pay for it. So Callis opens the ring box, puts on the Dynamite Diamond ring, and he goes somewhere. We don't really get a, finale for this segment, but I got a funny feeling I know who it's going to be. We then get our arbitrary women's match of the evening, as it's Penelope Ford taking on Jamie Hayter. And it is so good to see both of these two back. I have definitely missed them. And they definitely look like they haven't missed a step. They go back and forth throughout the matchup, with Penelope Ford looking for a Death Valley driver, but eventually Hayter hits her with the Haterade for the victory. Way too short of a women's match. Hopefully we see Tony Khan do a bit better. Then we get another Mina Shirakawa hype video, but before the finish of it, we see it kind of turn black and white, which means she might not be coming alone. Anyway, then we see a Kazuchika Okada hype video, in which it was narrated by Jim Ross. And then it's kind of announced that we're going to get the next Continental Classic tournament, in which I absolutely loved. I think it was also announced that Okada will constantly be defending his Continental title throughout these matches. So that's definitely really good. And then Fine Alamo, we got our main event of the evening, as it's the Don Callis family, which is Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, taking on Ricochet and a mystery partner. And before Ricochet makes it to the ring, he reveals it's a former member of the Don Callis family who has just come back from injury, but no one has really checked on him. It's Powerhouse Hobbs, in which that was a big surprise. Was not expecting it to be Hobbs. I thought it'd be Will Ospreay, but honestly, turning Hobbs babyface might not be a bad thing. So we got a little brawl to start. Eventually Hobbs and Fletcher started off, and Hobbs looks absolutely great. He works really, really well with both Fletcher and Takeshita. Eventually Ricochet comes in. He does a little bit more of his high-flying stuff. Although he's not going full-blown what he and Ospreay did in New Japan. But it was definitely enough to impress. And really good back and forth. At one point, Ricochet goes for the 450. That misses. Takeshita goes for a brainbuster, but that gets blocked with a roll through. Takeshita tries for a suplex. That gets blocked. Ricochet tries for a Rana. That gets countered. Then they end up in the top somehow. Looks like they're going for a Doomsday device. However, Hobbs has Takeshita in the powerbomb position. Ricochet has Fletcher in a superplex. And they hit it stereo. Beautiful. And Kyle Fletcher Ricochet is about to hit a big old kick. Kyle Fletcher grabs Ricochet by the leg. Hobbs gets in the way. Takeshita was going for his power drive elbow, but Hobbs pushes Ricochet out of the way and eats it himself. Eventually he gets a big old suplex. Ricochet tries for a Rana. That gets caught. Eventually he does hit it. Hits a shooting star press, only for 2. But then he gets in the corner and hits the spear gun, which is his version of the hidden blade, to pick up the big win. Post-match, the Don Callis family attack Hobbs and Ricochet with chairs. Mark Davis comes out. He gets right in Kyle Fletcher's face. They kind of have a little push-off. When eventually Lance Archer and Brian Cage come in, they attack Davis from behind. Looks like the Callis family has the numbers advantage. Out comes Adam Cole, who brawls to the back with Kyle Fletcher. With Takeshita, they're going to be opponents next week, in which that's going to be a good one. Then Fletcher goes outside the ring, grabs a screwdriver, is about to hit Ricochet with it. Then out comes Will Ospreay to make the save. Lance Archer tries for a chokeslam. That gets blocked into a spinebuster by Hobbs. Ricochet with a big knee. Then Ospreay is all set up with the hidden blade until Kyle Fletcher bails. I'm going to say this, while this is a kind of a random grouping for Ospreay, Ricochet, Hobbs, and Cole, I kind of dig it. Like, would I like to see them be more involved in the whole saga with the Death Riders? Sure. But have them here against the Don Callis family? I don't mind it. So, got a lot to look forward to. Dynamite was absolutely awesome. This was a great episode to come back to. Hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. This was, sorry for the length of the video, but that's how it is. Coming up tonight, we got SmackDown and Rampage, which should be a fun couple of shows. We got Full Gear coming up. We got Turning Point, I believe, is coming up for TNA. MLW has a show this weekend. Should be a fun one. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.